The back. Ups.
What is up? This is the Backups. We're back up.
We're back up.
And we're live. I'm Timo B. Davis, and I coach football. And he's
Conor B. Feckley, and I coach football.
And that's really convenient because this is a football podcast. This is not just any football podcast. This is a live football podcast.
We're big
for the
time
very first time. So how are you feeling about being live there?
I mean, hey, it took us a little while to get things up and running, but it's cool. Yeah, it feels like we're the real deal right here. So can't complain.
We're doing this YouTube live thing, but YouTube requires 24 hours notice to allow you to go live,
which we found out about 2 hours prior to.
Yeah, so we didn't have the full 24 hours, but we're figuring it out. So we're doing this live. There's no editing. There's no editing.
Nah, you get what you get.
Yeah, you all get what you get.
Unfiltered, and who knows what else.
Is what it is. And so we're here at we're back up literally at West Anchorage High School. Kids are back in the building. We're back in the building.
Yeah,
things are happening. We are both vaccinated.
Both vaxxed.
Which is part of a good deal for us.
Feeling good. Everything's been good. Everyone I know that's gotten vaxxed is good. So yeah, getting kids back in the building. Everyone's staying safe.
Yeah,
it's been good.
No, I'm super excited about being here, being with the kids. The kids, the mental energy.
Oh my goodness,
of the kids being back. And when we first got here, when we first came back to the building, what I think we noticed was there was almost like this zombie factor of kids, and they didn't know how to act. And I think they're figuring that out now. So that's a cool deal.
It took a little it took them a little while to warm up, but the kids are starting to come around and not be so sucked in on their TV screen, on their little laptop screens or phones or anything, and they're starting to be a little bit more social and everything. Starting to say more hellos in the morning, things like that. So it's been a grind, but the kids are coming through, and it's getting good all the way around. Yeah.
So what's the we're live. We're gonna be doing some things a little differently. The show will be probably a little shorter tonight. We'll see to test it out. But what's the best thing you saw this for the last couple weeks? We haven't been on for a minute.
Yeah, best thing I saw. I don't know. There's been some good things going on. Are we trying to stay true to football things, or are we going to mix it up?
Let's mix it up. I mean, we're fundamentally still a football podcast, still talking ball, and we will. There'll be a lot of ball. It's football. But life, what do we got? What's the best thing you saw?
Man, I guess the best thing slowly coming is the weather. That seems to have the biggest factor on my happiness nowadays. Is what's that weather like up here in Anchorage, Alaska? And so days are getting a little bit longer. The weather is trying to warm up. Yeah. It's not really sure what it's doing, but it's the sun's coming up, and at least that's helping make everybody's morning and evenings a little bit better.
It snowed 2 inches.
It snowed 2 inches
this
or
whatever this morning. You had to clear a car off.
That hurts. So, but we're getting there. Hopefully that's the last one. Hopefully that's the last snowfall until
they're
October,
saying
November.
40s next week. But then we supposedly are going through sub-zero tonight. We had 25 wind chill, 25 below.
Yeah, we have no idea.
No idea.
But it's on the up and up, man. We're getting better. So that's the best thing I got is just the weather. It's getting there.
Yeah, we're coming along. We are in Alaska. We do realize that. The best thing I saw, we've been cleaning out our shop area a little bit. We're doing a remodel of the bathroom, which that's like a man badge. You should get a badge for I've remodeled the bathroom. Yeah. So, but in doing so, I looked down last week, I come out the bathroom and look at the couch, and there's Rowan sitting there playing a Game Boy.
Ooh,
like
an old fat, didn't know where she got it from, or
so it's my sister's. So Kara, if you're watching this, I stole your Game Boy years ago, and I have no idea why or how. I don't know if mom and dad were getting rid of it or what, but I stole my sister's Game Boy as a 30-something-year-old man.
Smart.
And so, sure enough, Roto found it and was playing Tetris.
Just like the old plug-in Tetris game?
The old one, man. And the best thing I saw was playing some Tetris. I did not get to the rocket ship. I never was that good at the Game Boy version there of Tetris. But it was pretty cool to get on and play the old A's and B's. And
so did you immediately take over from her, or did you let her play a little bit and kind of teach her the ropes?
She lost interest pretty fast. The understanding how to do Tetris is a little complex. She's like, I think my wife described it as make the lines go together. And she's like, that didn't work. So anyway, so she gave it to me and says, hey, Dad, can you
Beat the
play
game.
this
Yeah.
for me? And so I did. I forgot that the Game Boy has like no backlight.
Yeah.
So you have to be in
you
a
got to be somewhere bright.
space.
Yeah.
Yeah, so-
I remember trying to stay up late playing Pokemon, and that it wouldn't work because you'd have to have a nightlight on, and you get in trouble for being up. So yeah, I know how that goes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Collect those Pokemon. So, well, anyway, the theme of today's show is starting up. We have spring.
Reboot.
Let's call it spring. We're doing that right now. That's what
Spring.
we got. Spring.
Spring is sprung.
Spring is sprung.
Ish.
Ish.
It's springing. Spring is springing.
Yeah. And if you live somewhere where it's nice and beautiful, like
Anywhere besides Alaska, pretty much
besides-
this time of year.
yeah. You're enjoying spring, and there's a good chance that you are enjoying spring. That is, you might have football in your life. You might have actually in-season football. A friend of ours from Bartlett High School, Dana Spars, is at Wanakee.
Yeah, Wanakee.
in Wisconsin.
Yep.
And they're playing a season right now. So good luck to. Do you know what they are?
Warriors.
Warriors.
Yep.
Good luck, Warriors.
Wanakee Warriors.
They're purple.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they're
I'm pretty
purple.
sure.
Good luck, Purple Warriors.
Yeah.
So shout out to him and playing football. I know Washington State. John Rogers is down there, a former Alaska coach, coaching at
Yeah.
Seattle Prep, I believe is the name of it. And they've had some big upset wins here this last few weeks and went in on 2-point conversion. So it's
That's
back.
fun stuff for the spring, man. It's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
Like getting maybe calling some of those plays where you wouldn't normally call in the fall, just because kids are been out of it for so long. So your coaches are doing some fun things. That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's that's a good thing that's going on. So anyway, the theme of the show is that we're back in the building, and so we're back here at West Anchorage High School. We're doing the show from the studios here. I do run the media program, full disclosure, and so it's been a blast. We teach the kids all the stuff that we learn here, and like I said, it's a live show. And we're in the school, so you never know what's going to happen.
You never know what's going to happen.
There might be
on a live
visitors.
show.
You never know what happens on a live show. So we'll just keep rolling through it.
Took 2 hours to get it going, but now here we are.
Here we are. So let's talk some football. And let's actually, let's talk about the draft a little bit.
We start with the draft.
Let's start with the draft. I'm switching gears up. Because I want to get to we're thinking about this idea of starting up, and in a couple weeks, actually next week, I think we're going to do our fantasy draft.
Yeah.
Where we are actually going to draft teams. We're going to put together teams like a full 11-man roster on offense. We're going to do offense.
Stick with
I
the
know.
offense.
I know Coach Garcia, our defensive coordinator out there, is rolling around. Going,
He can do his own 11. He can do his defense and let us know how it looks.
There you go. I like that idea.
So,
and
Coach Garcia, send us your team.
And we'll probably put a link in the show or something. We want to get your teams. Who would you use if you had 11 draft picks and you're putting together an offense? Who are you putting in on that team, on that squad? And so we're gonna do that next week. Monday, we're gonna run a interview with the sports guys, the media dudes. All that being said, the media world, the football world is abuzz on the draft, and you've been doing some mock drafts. I gotta think of you. You're Alaska's draft expert. I gotta.
Well, I mean, it's just been fun. Having a little bit of downtime and looking into it more, and it's just been fun. Yeah, going on the draft network there, and you can kind of do your own little mock drafts and make see what sticks. But it's changing daily because every day someone else it actually gets paid to do these things comes out with a new one and changes up your thought process on who's going to go where and who needs what. But it's always a fun time of year. It's always fun to talk about and to see where guys go where and try to decide who's actually going to be who's going to stick and who's not.
Yeah, no, that's a huge deal on that, and is where draft picks go based on trades. So what we want to do tonight is the theme is starting things up, spring, and with the start of the draft coming up, we're going to break down the first 10 picks from, like I said, Alaska's draft expert Conor B. Feckley.
Yeah, right.
And we're just going to jump right into it. 1 second. I got to press buttons. I'm pressing buttons. We're probably going to end up hiring a person to press buttons for us. But right now, I'm pressing the buttons.
Any good button pressers out there?
If you can press buttons.
Want to talk a little football, joke a little.
Yeah. Prefer that you're
some free food or something. We can get you a sandwich.
Yeah. Employment of the volunteer form. But let's jump right into the number 1 draft pick. Go for it. Who do you got? Number 1
I
pick?
got what everybody else got, and it is Trevor Lawrence, quarterback from Clemson, going to Jacksonville. I think Coach Urban Meyer's done his research, been able to evaluate, and I have not heard a single person in this world say that it's not going to be Trevor Lawrence. So I think the Jags got a good thing going. They got a new head coach coming in, and I think having Trevor Lawrence, could have been the first overall draft pick 2 years ago, probably, is going to be in a good place with good things going there in Jacksonville. So
Yeah.
plus no state income tax, so he'll be making good money too.
Ooh, I did not know that.
Yeah, it's a plus.
I did not know that.
Good for Florida.
No one's gonna go against the Trevor Lawrence thing. I'm so curious.
I mean, and that's the thing.
It's not Jacksonville's taking Trevor.
And I think that could be one of the craziest things from this draft, because everyone's talking about how the first 4 could all be quarterbacks type of deal. And if you look at years past, it just, throughout the years of the draft, quarterbacks that are taken 1, 2, 3, or maybe several in the top 10. I mean, how many of them have really stuck and then have been that franchise guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so it'll be interesting to kind of see which one of these 2 to 4, one of the 4 should be really, really good.
Yep.
Possibly all 4, but
Yep.
you just never know. So it'll be interesting to see in a couple of years down.
Why don't you tell me about number 2?
Yeah, number 2. As we're getting ready to go into number 2 here, and it's for the New York Football Jets. And I think you're going to like my pick because I know you're going to be on board with it. But since the Jets got rid of Sam Darnold, which I think they could have got a little bit more for him, but they'll be drafting BYU's Zach Wilson.
Yeah, no, it's weird. I had a quick wardrobe change. By the way, the best thing I saw this week, as much as it's nice to talk about Roro playing Game Boy, I got this coat. It's one of those late night Amazon purchases. If you're out there on YouTube world watching this, it's beautiful. I don't know. I'm all about it. Anyway, I'm stoked about my coat. I saw it hanging up. I was like, why am I not wearing the coat today?
The first thing that popped into my mind as soon as I said Jets. So
yeah, so there we go. So we got the coat. It's the best thing. I am so excited about Zach Wilson.
You have been high, and I know we've been kind of talking about this a lot. I'm still high on Sam Darnold. I think he's going to do great in Carolina. I think they got a steal for him.
Yeah.
I just really hope for the Jets' sake that Zach Wilson is everything they want him to be.
There's so much made of this. Like, there's been so much talk of Zach Wilson, Sam Darnold, Trevor Lawrence. Like, we've talked so much about it in the world. But I think you could do entire podcasts on this.
Totally.
I think Sam Darnold is a good quarterback.
True.
I think most people do. I think that we think his value is higher than maybe what the world saw him under Adam Gase and that situation.
He didn't get a fair chance.
No.
Yeah, he was just put at a disadvantage from the get-go. And so that's why I think I'm most excited to see, can he turn around in Carolina?
Yeah.
And more importantly, those same coaches that were in New York, no longer there. So can Mike LaFleur, Robert Saleh, can they get, what they need in place to make sure Zach Wilson has everything he needs? I know they still need to get some things in that offense to help him out. Is there any other things you do? Any other things that you maybe would want the Jets to do besides get Zach Wilson? How can they help him be successful?
I really believe that the Jets need to build the team. I'm a big O-line first guy. I like Slater. I like Sewell. I mean, neither one are going to end up in New York from what I can tell unless something crazy happens.
You got a lot of picks, man.
There is a lot of picks out there. Both those guys, I imagine, will be gone unless we do something.
Everyone's wanting these big skill guys, man. I think it's very possible that one of those 2 offensive linemen falls out of the top 10, and the Jets use their draft picks to move themselves back up and possibly snag their third. Have a third first round draft pick as well as their one later in the round from the Seahawks. So the Jets have a lot of what they could do. They have a lot of options. What they could do and go about this draft.
And again, just final note on Sam Darnold. I saw him do some really great things under tremendous difficulty and adversity.
Oh, yeah.
I trust Sam Darnold to be a great quarterback at wherever he ends up. I really do think
Carolina.
he's good. I think that Zach Wilson is got maybe a higher ceiling, but it's a cultural shift. And it's just, if anything, it's a symbolic changing of the guard that most people, no one's like, oh, we're so glad we got rid of him. That's not the attitude. The attitude is like, it's reset time. We need it. It's spring. It's spring. It's a new beginning. And I think that's why the pick makes sense to me. Wouldn't it be so cool though if Jacksonville chooses Zach Wilson?
Would you be pumped or would you be bummed?
No, I'd be bummed. I'm just saying, like, just the chaos factor of like the sports world. People are. Everybody would be wrong.
It would shock the nation. Yeah.
Because my thing is like, does Zach Wilson have a playbook in hand right now? You know, do you go that far? I mean, I don't think you do that. But
Trevor Lawrence could have had the Jags since.
That's absolutely
December.
Yeah,
or early January.
Absolutely, and so just an interesting deal there. So.
For sure.
Enough quarterback talk. We talk about quarterbacks all the time. We talk about offense all the time.
All right, we're just going to do it in the next pick.
Yeah, we're doing it with the next pick, which I hope I have queued up correctly. We're going to find out is Justin Fields. I know the talk of the town has been Mac Jones going to the 49ers. Shanahan wants like a guy he can just control from the sideline, basically like he's playing Xbox, but in real life. And Mac Jones is accurate. He has a quick release. He did some things well. My thing is like, has he ever trailed in a game as a starter in college? I mean, he did play at Alabama. He played against great competition. Yeah.
But for me coming out, I always look at quarterbacks who have been in all the moments, have had a chance to play at the highest level, play in the biggest games, be able to come back after being down late in the game. I think those are big components that you can't necessarily coach at the next level. You got to be able to have them through experience. Jalen Hurts, I was really high on him last year just because of his college career, and I think he's going to pan out great. But yeah, I got Justin Fields going over Mac Jones just because I think Justin Fields is going to need a year. They still got Jimmy Garoppolo. I think Justin Fields can come in and be athletic, can make plays for him. You think back to Shanahan's situation with the Falcons, Matt Ryan, Super Bowl, isn't mobile enough to escape pressure, takes a big sack, knocks him out of field goal range. Maybe you wish you had a more mobile quarterback. So what happens the next year? You go and you play Patrick Mahomes, who's a little bit more athletic and mobile. And what does he do? He runs around, extends the play, throws it deep, wins the game.
Yeah.
So looking at that, as much as Kyle Shanahan wants to be that controller, I think you got to be able to still let your guys play, though, to help make you right when you're wrong. And so that's why I think they should go with Justin Fields.
Who does Justin Fields remind you of? If there's an NFL guy now,
man, I don't know for a comp. What do you have him as a comp?
I kind of think that he's an elite runner.
Yeah.
So the Lamar Jackson thing's an easy thing to do, and actually the reason I kind of asked that is I didn't get to talk enough about Zach Wilson. I think Zach Wilson reminds me of like a Aaron Rodgers-esque, Brett Favre-esque type ball
Gunslinger,
player.
just going to go out there and play, dude, yeah.
Lawrence, I don't know who Trevor Lawrence necessarily reminds me of.
When I think of Trevor Lawrence, it pops into my mind as like a Peyton or an Andrew Luck, just because he's like one of those generation type quarterback guys.
Okay.
Justin Fields, I mean, he's up there, man, but he's just kind of, like you said, he's not like the most mobile guy. He's not a Lamar Jackson in the sense of being that athletic, but he can make it's kind of like
he's like a 4.40 guy though, right?
He can move. I just don't think of him as like Lamar Jackson. Michael Vick, Lamar Jackson are kind of like, in my mind, they're in their own. I think of him almost as like a Marcus Mariota, but like, because he can use his legs. Yeah. Can definitely use his legs. He can probably break an 80-yard touchdown. Yeah. But like, is that going to be a staple in your offense? Yeah. Maybe not, and I think he's a better passer. But very similar college system to how they were running at Oregon. I mean, coming out of Ohio State there. So, Justin Fields has been able to prove that he can handle big moments, play in big games. Obviously, would like to see a little bit more success in those. But overall, he's been through it all, and being at Ohio State was kind of the head, the face of their franchise or the face of that organization. Then not only Ohio State, but the NCAA. When all the entire thing was going on, he was kind of the front runner for getting the Big Ten back in and playing. So I don't think he's scared of the moment and everything. He's just got to be able to handle that spotlight, and I think he can do that in San Francisco.
It's interesting you brought up Manning. I like Peyton Manning's legacy to me, and one of the way we teach our quarterbacks' feet is always working to find throwing lanes.
Oh yeah, Peyton's.
I think Justin's feet are not. it's not slow. I don't feel like it works hard enough to throwing lanes. I don't know if that's a decision process thing. I feel like his he needs a year.
Yes, and that's why
he needs a year to mature under another quarterback who can. Because I think his decision-making process
just to fine-tune his play for the NFL level.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. I think he's got everything there. You just got to get used to it.
Whereas the overall package with Lawrence and the arm strength of Wilson, I could be so wrong. Wilson could come out and just be a total bust. I do realize that because the strength of schedule, he wasn't playing in the SEC.
Lost to Coastal Carolina.
And then he got beat up that game pretty good. But he got back up. He got back up.
But he's a dude. He's kept competing.
Yeah.
And like I said, when you watch his pro day, I mean, what he was able to do was really impressive. So if you can just take that talent and transition it to be able to play against an NFL schedule rather than a BYU schedule, then I think the Jets would be in good shape. But
and Justin Fields did play against high-level competition, balled out in that game against Clemson.
Yeah. And he's battled back. I mean, he's had some closer games, and they've had obviously their big blowouts too, but they've had a little mixture of both. So he's hasn't always had the lead going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah. No, it's good. Oh, well, that's a lot of quarterbacks. So, I don't know what we're queued up here. Our next pick.
Number 4
is
Kyle Pitts.
Tight end.
Tight end from Florida. And this was an interesting one, and I think Atlanta.
The show loves tight ends, by the way. Our show loves tight end.
Big tight end. Big tight end group here. And I think Kyle Pitts is probably the best player outside of a quarterback in this draft. I know everyone's been talking about him, but if you haven't, just go plug him in on YouTube, and he's really, really impressive. The Falcons could go with the quarterback here. In my mind, though, it's kind of relates back to what I said earlier. He's the 4th quarterback off the board. Is that where you want to spend your first round pick? Is the 4th best quarterback off the board? Now, who knows? Maybe Trey Lance ends up being the best, but coming from a guy who's never played against an FBS, school, just FCS, not to try and take away from his talent level, but I think that it does mean something. But Kyle Pitts going to Atlanta just makes their offense even more of a challenge. If they can stay healthy, I think Ridley's the number 1 receiver. Jones is obviously a number 1 receiver. So if you can add Kyle Pitts down the middle, I think it's going to make Matt Ryan's job really easy. Yeah. And with Matt Ryan being 33, you're going to have to kind of find somebody to kind of come in. And if it happens to be a young guy or someone else, and he has to throw the ball to Kyle Pitts, Julio Jones, and Calvin Ridley, he should be able to find some sort of success. So I think the Falcons would be safe here going with Kyle Pitts.
I mean, the talk is Jones goes to the Niners. I think the counter to what we're talking about is Jones goes Niners and Fields goes.
Totally. And that could happen because maybe that's their guy all along.
Yeah.
Who they like most.
Hometown kid, right?
And he's a Georgia boy.
Home state
he's a Georgia boy. So that does cause some concern. I know we talked about this the other night when Dwayne Haskins deal and being back home. How he was at Georgia and left Georgia. And then all of a sudden Ohio State really transformed him and turned him into that number 1 guy that he thought he would be coming out of high school. So that is definitely and being in Atlanta, having a lot of money, and like you said, if he ends up being a guy who's not starting right away. It doesn't need to have his 100% focus ready to roll every single day. It could maybe have a little more downtime. You just never know. Being back home always makes things harder.
So we're moving away from quarterbacks because coming in at the next pick, number 5, the Bengals. And I know they should probably go offensive line here. They should.
But there's some good offensive tackles in this draft, and they're going to have another high 2nd round pick.
Yeah.
Which I think the fall off from the best tackles in this draft, from the best receivers. And I know it's a deep receiver class too, so you really could go either way. But I'm just looking at it as Burrow was Burrow with this man right here.
Yeah.
So you get him out there, you're already going to have instant connection there between those two, and I think Burrow is just going to be happy as can be.
Oh, I love O-line.
And I'm with you. And
Burrow got hurt.
Trust me.
And he was Joe Burrow.
I've made several mock drafts, and it's pretty much just been an O-lineman or it's been a receiver. It's just kind of been how it falls. But in this one, I just got Jamar Chase going there. I think he's just the best wide receiver in the draft. Super, super, super talented. And I just think, it'd make Joe Burrow really, really happy.
Yeah. Light just went out. Things that happen when you're live. I think it's back on.
And we're back on.
It's back on.
A little trial run, man.
Yay,
Thanks for working through with us.
We're working through the bugs, and we're thankful that you're joining us as we work. A light in there just turned. I don't know. They say West is haunted.
Yeah, who's in here?
They say that West is haunted.
Someone other than us.
I don't know. That's definitely interesting. Oh, we lost all the lights.
Yep.
Oh, they're turning on and off. This is the green.
I don't know what's going on.
It's live though. It's live, so we're getting it all.
All right, the Bengals will get Penei Sewell. I was joking.
You're gonna talk quite a bit here coming up on the next draft pick, which is Devonta Smith. Go talk about him.
Devonta Smith going to the Miami Dolphins. I think the Dolphins just needed. They traded back up. They were at 3. Then they obviously went back to 12, traded back up to 6 because they want one of those big-time offensive playmakers to help out Tua. With both the Alabama wide receivers coming out of this draft, both being 2 of the top 3, I think it's going to be one of the 2. I have Devonta Smith over Jalen Waddle just because of how dynamic and a great route runner he is, and obviously you can use him on special teams, and you could do that with both guys. But I just see Devonta Smith catching that national championship touchdown in the back of the end zone. And I can just see Tua and him doing that again in Miami. So I think it's a good deal there for Miami to take Devonta Smith with their first pick in the 2021 NFL draft.
Yeah, no, things are happening here. Devonta Smith's getting drafted. That light keeps turning on and off. We got other lights on. This is good. I hope you're all enjoying this at home because we certainly are here.
This guy's been running around like a madman trying to get this place set up and get everything working.
Yeah.
So aside from the spooky light, man, I think we're doing a pretty good job.
I wish, at this point, I wish the light would just stay off as it's just creeping me out. As we all know, like I said, West is haunted. So that might be a running gag that we have through the show is
it keeps up.
Haunting of West High School. Well, thank you for continuing to bear with us.
Do you want to add anything about the Dolphins and Devonta Smith?
I was actually running around grabbing the light right then. He's an interesting guy. I think I don't know if I take him there, depending on who's still on the board for the Dolphins. I think he might be a lower, but maybe not. He's got the ability to stretch the field. I don't know if he's the best receiver at Alabama.
And that's my biggest thing was I look at last year's draft.
Yeah.
And I look at the wide receivers that went, and Justin Jefferson was the number 1 wide receiver last season. And everyone was saying he was, and I think he was the best route runner. And I think when you get to the NFL level, being the best route runner is what's going to put you above, maybe the next guy.
Yeah.
And so I think Devonta Smith has that edge, and it's going to be the difference maker and what helps him succeed in the NFL.
I agree. I think that okay. I'll give you that.
Given his size, and I get all that, but just his route running, his ability to get open with his speed, I just think he has potential going off of what we saw from Justin Jefferson and guys in the past with maybe who are a little bit smaller. So.
Yeah. Well, and I don't want to ever discount size. Especially when you have speed. And obviously he's a Heisman Trophy winner for a reason.
Guy can do it.
I just think that there are other better receivers that were on his team.
Yeah.
So that's I'm a Waddle guy, probably over Devonta Smith. But again,
Devonta Smith is just more fresh in my mind, seeing him, and like I said, for me, it just came down to that route running factor.
You're right, and that's you know what. It could be like a Jerry Rice type pick.
Yeah. Very much so.
So anyway, very interesting there. I think I got this queued up again. I know I keep saying that, but it's live. We're doing it live. This one requires some draft explanation on your end, draft expert. What you got? 7th pick going to the who?
Ooh, the Patriots. And this is going to be a little bit of a shocker, but I think they are in a position where between guys coming back that decided to opt out last year, them blowing the bank in free agency and doing all sorts of things this year, bringing back Cam. If I were to take Trey Lance and probably compare him to one NFL guy right now, based off of what he did in his college offense, I'd put him with the Patriots and doing what they're going to do with Cam Newton.
Yeah.
They're going to have double tight end set, a lot of 12 personnel stuff, probably a lot of quarterback running involved, and that's right up Trey Lance's alley. I mean, if you got a chance to watch him do that at North Dakota State, he tore it up. So I think if the season ends up working out well for him and Cam Newton in that offense with a little bit of run game, heavy set stuff, works, I think they'll look like geniuses for trading up and getting Trey Lance because he could plug in and be ready to go for them, right away and potentially be great. But it's the Patriots, and who knows if they'd ever actually trade up into the draft. The Lions have the 7th pick right now, and I think they're in a good spot to either continue to trade back and pick up some more draft picks or stay put and maybe they go get a quarterback themselves or a wide receiver. But I think it's more realistic to see the Patriots.
Hot take would be that Trey Lance goes 7th regardless.
Yeah, that could be.
The Lions a lot of talk about Goff, and Goff could be a guy who could give you the buffer to the young quarterback. He's going to be competent in what he does. Obviously, his time in LA has been well documented, and we know what he can and has struggled to do.
Yeah.
But I think that having a young quarterback come into the situation does not is good. I think that's what's going to happen. I think he's going to go 7, whether it's a trade up, and I like that by the Patriots making that move.
Yeah.
There's some talk they'll be aggressive with that. Because how long is the Cam thing going to go on?
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, who knows if Cam going to make it through the whole year? If not, yeah, I'm with you there.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's changing things up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So coming in then with the 8th pick, hey, guess who you took?
Rayshawn Slater. And I know it's going to be either, Slater or Sewell, and it might just come down to the team that's a fit, and wherever they end up going. Sewell can end up going to the Bengals. And I think with, obviously, the Panthers, I know a couple of my mocks, I had them trading up, doing something to try to get one of those top quarterbacks. But now with them getting Darnold, they just got to get somebody to protect him.
Yeah.
I think they got to, and I know I get a chance to see Matt Rule speak when he first got the job. He was still in all of his Baylor presentations, but it was in his Carolina gear. But he talked a lot about winning the LOS, being big and physical in the trenches. He's a big believer in that. Obviously, last year going out with their first pick and getting the defensive lineman from Auburn. I think this year they're going to do it on the offensive side, whether it be Sewell or Slater. If I had the nod, and I think you would agree, I think we'd both take Slater.
I think so. I think so.
The dude's just a beast, and they're both. I think they're both going to be great. But Slater a little bit more experience, and he played really, really well against Chase Young.
Yeah, you got it. That game I was about to. We had to talk about that game.
Yeah,
it's good. Yeah, so I got into fantasy baseball. Weird segue. I got into fantasy baseball, and I should not be involved in fantasy sports. It consumes time.
Takes him over.
It's bad. It's bad. But in the draft, you got you had these few guys at the top. As pitching, you had Garrett Cole and Jacob deGrom, and you're probably not going to go wrong with either one. Hitting wise, you still have you have the Trouts and the Sotos, and you're not Mookie Betts. You're not going to be wrong.
Yeah,
and I kind of see this is very similar.
You're in a good spot. Yeah,
I think that Slater is. He is going to have a longer, potentially. I can't say longer career. I think they're both set to have good long careers, which brings me to the point that sometimes you draft the talent, and that talent is done 3, 4, 5 years later. They're not at least contributing.
Yeah.
Whereas an O lineman, I think there's enough measurables on the table that both these guys, I think really, especially Slater, it just looks like he's gonna have a big time career.
He's gonna be there. I think he's the type of guy where wherever he goes, he could be a full career guy.
Yeah.
Or one of those, spend a lot first half of his career, make a lot of money in one place. But yeah, I see the Panthers getting somebody to help out that offensive line.
So now we're gonna get into a run of Alabama Crimson Tides. And our next pick is...
Boom. And if Mac Jones ain't gone to somewhere else by now,
yeah.
If all the quarterbacks are gone, they could go defense. But I see if the Broncos are sitting there at 9 without having to trade or do anything, and Mac Jones sitting right there for him, I think it'd be a pretty dang good deal to just go ahead and take your guy right then and there. You have someone that can come in and compete and create competition in the quarterback room and really kind of push that offense to hopefully kind of get to that next level, because they went out last year and got the offensive pieces. They did some things in the offseason to take care of that defense. So
how about the overthrows and the Belichick?
Yeah, we did see that. Yeah, the Mac Jones with the overthrow and the eye roll going back over to him.
I mean, that might have been, I don't know how, I'm assuming that was authentic. like the timing of that video.
Yeah, it was probably a little editing was probably involved. Who knows?
I know the editing, and so like I know the potential you could do that with anybody.
Yeah.
You know, if the Belichick eye roll should be memed if it's not already. I think you'll find that, but. No, I think Mac Jones is interesting. I'm not high on Mac Jones.
I know you're not a Mac Jones guy.
He reminds me of like Eli. I don't know.
Eli won 2 Super Bowls.
Eli, the Super Bowl champion, Eli, with a really good team around him. I thought
they did.
I don't know.
They had some dudes.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm with you, and I think if they don't go quarterback there, they go linebacker Micah Parsons from Penn State, who's just an animal. I mean, he flew. He's flying all over the place at his pro day. Yeah, I think the Broncos can't go wrong if they take him, even if they don't need a linebacker.
It's interesting. We're talking about a guy who I think either goes 4 in Mac Jones or 3 to not in the top 10.
I mean, I did a mock draft without any trades, and I had him just going 15 to the Patriots.
Yeah,
he could fall that far, just depending on what guys think of him. So
fascinating.
So we'll see.
All right, our last to round out our spring is sprung, and we're talking the draft. Who do we got?
Cowboys are going Patrick Surtain, the second, the cornerback out of Alabama. He's a top corner in the draft. The only thing, the reason I did that is because that's what the Cowboys need. The Cowboys need a corner. I hate the Cowboys. Hopefully they mess this pick up and drafts someone who doesn't pan out. But I don't mean that for that guy.
Wow.
I just hope for the Cowboys. Just for the Cowboys' sake. But Patrick Surtain's the best corner, and that's what they need on that defense. Dan Quinn coming over. I think that defense is going to change. That was a really good hire by them. That one kind of made me mad. I think that's a good pickup for the Cowboys and the defensive coordinator. But Jerry Jones is the guy who makes the picks for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And he likes being the center of attention, having all eyes on them. Yeah. Like, did they need a wide receiver last year? Probably not. I mean, is CeeDee Lamb a great player? Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And will he be great there for a long time? Probably. But he was like the star pick for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was, the biggest pick kind of in the first draft, being a little bit later in the first round last year. So I could see them doing something ridiculous, going crazy, trading up, trying to go get Kyle Pitts. I saw that, the Cowboys are in love with him. Jerry Jones is in love with him.
Yeah.
So the Cowboys are kind of up in the air, but if you were to ask me what they need most, it's a lockdown corner, and I think they could easily get there by either sitting here at 10 and taking Surtain or even trading back. I mean, there's some other good guys in the first that they could do, but Cowboys, I hope you find a way to mess it up. But
right. Well, I think this pick, I told you recently, oh gosh, that light's spooking me out, man. Like you turn on. There's nobody in here turning those lights on and off, people. It's just happening.
That producer guy, where we get the button presser, we're going to need you to
presser showed up.
Keep a track on those lights.
Oh my goodness. Recently I started playing fantasy baseball. I don't know if I've told you this yet.
I have heard. Yeah.
And like towards the end of your draft, it tells you, because it's not quite football where like, there's a lot more to fill. There's a lot more like positions, you know, you have to fill out your roster. And so you see like, sometimes you overdraft a certain position and you're like, you have needs very much, obviously, in this one position.
Yes.
It just feels like the Cowboys have a huge need on the back end, specifically at corner. And I like this pick. I think that's where they go. Although,
with that said, they could draft a D end. Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft came
some
out the other day.
Some other football podcasts said that I was going to have
podcast guy that occasionally listen to. Shout out Move the Sticks. If you guys, once you guys listen to us, go listen to Move the Sticks. Those guys will give you all the real info.
Oh, I thought you were telling Move the Sticks to listen to us.
Dan Jeremiah, fucking Brooks, you should check us out.
They should. But
come up to Alaska, we'll get you some fish, we'll talk some ball.
That's going to be our next thing. We're going to start enticing coaches.
Just come to Alaska. Hang out. Talk ball.
Haunted high school. We'll
put that in the pitch.
Oh, man. That's a good job, man. Congratulations.
So that's
phenomenal.
A 10.
You've put a lot of work in this. I've watched you doing your mock drafts. It's been fun getting your input on that.
I'm since there's it's like making the NCAA tournament. You can make your brackets. They only gave you 25 to make. And chances are you're going to be over 25.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna my thought process with that is I'm just gonna make like 1,000 mock drafts, and hopefully one of them hits.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
And then
We'll
you
see.
can say 20 years from now, you're like, I got the 2021 draft. Perfect.
I'll start
I don't know why
saying
you're
myself
talking like that 20 years from now, but
Hopefully I'm not that old in that.
yeah, he's just an old man. Spring has sprung. We're back in the building. We're here. A fresh start, if you will.
So with a fresh start,
Yeah.
we're getting back in. The school day is a little bit different. It's a little bit more condensed, a little less hallway, kids in the hallways, trying
Yeah.
to keep distance. And with that, we've also started up the after-school weight training program for the
have.
football program. And it's been good. Let's deep dive into that a little bit more.
Yeah, I think if there's ever been a time in our country where we can see the importance of sports and extracurriculars, and I'm not going to sit up here and say that sports is the only way. Band, orchestra, art,
Everything, yeah,
media, whatever
totally.
you get into, whatever your passion is, because most people don't wake up in the morning and think like, so I'm teaching like West African kingdoms right now. Most people aren't waking up and be like, yo, I want to find out about Mansa Musa today. Now, hopefully, but it's probably not the drive.
Yeah.
It's fun material. It's really cool to hear about how Sunjata conquered the evil sorcerer king of Mali and took it over and started the Mali
Yeah,
Empire.
that's
Check it
pretty
out,
cool.
by the way, Mr.
Yeah,
Davis World
I was gonna
History.
say,
I
it's
should
pretty
start a
good.
podcast on that.
Yeah.
But that's not what wakes people up necessarily.
Yeah.
What wakes you up is oftentimes our sports, our extracurriculars, all those things that get us rock and rolling. So I really, really excited about getting back in the weight room, and we've seen just huge benefits for the kids to be back in a corporate setting. It's different.
Yeah.
It's
a
not
little
the
different.
same, but you know what? We've learned a ton.
Totally. Every day, something new. I mean, it's been, like I said, it's been fun. It's been good for the kids getting back in there and teaching them things, but it's something new every day.
It's something new every day. I think the biggest change that we've made is, more along the model of position coaches owning the culture of their unit.
Absolutely.
I think, I can't stress this enough. The head coach is in a leadership position, is kind of like the general, if you will. He's not necessarily the frontline soldier. I tell all the position coaches this. I've said I want our guys when they graduate to say, Coach Davis was cool. He was rad, but I really loved Coach so and so because that's my guy. And those are the type of guys we want to hire here. We have a bunch on staff here. Just a phenomenal staff that I'm seeing come together. And you know what? This is a city thing. I'm not just talking about just West Anchorage. I'm seeing some really good staffs and some really good men
I was
around
gonna say
the
across
city.
the board, across the state. Absolutely.
And so I think it's just shows how important extracurriculars are in football, which tends to be one that's a year-round deal.
Yep.
We encourage you to do other sports. We want them in other sports. We want them in track.
That's
Many of
kind
our
of the
guys
cool
are,
thing. Yeah.
right?
Those guys come in, they get started on their lift. They try to crank out about as much as they can, get about 85% of it done, and then they got to take off a little bit early to go to the track practice.
And it's awesome. And we're a building where we tend to do things after school for a few reasons, and it just works better in our building. Some schools, we had Palmerlow on here from Soldotna, and he talked about in the day doing
Middle of the day stuff.
And I love that too. I think it's just what you're building can best support and do. And man, I gotta tell you, I've just been so super stoked on this experience. What we've really been able to do is we've really been able to nail down our core values as a team. And so in the past, we've talked a lot about connection. We've talked a lot about respond, the R factor stuff. And I felt at times a lot of that was coming from a place of we saw it, it's good. It's all good, but we got it off a podcast. We heard it and said and implemented it.
Yep.
I think so much of what's happening now with the way we're coming back and starting anew is we have to take a look at the community that you're in.
Yeah.
And you have to say what really matters. So we went to our captains and we kind of said, well, what are your deals? And they're not too different from what we have. I mean, they really are, but I love trust, competition, and heart. Those are the things. And it's one thing to say those. You have to define it and live it.
Yep.
With trust, we used to say connection, and connection is absolutely, it's almost the same thing, I would say. But trust says it's asking for, I need a set of behaviors so that I know I can trust you. You have to believe in because everybody wants to see the why now. When I was a kid, it was like, hey, run through a wall. And I was like, yes, sir, coach, I'll do it right now. Yeah. And I sounded just like that. Yeah. And that was, we didn't ask why. Every kid wants a why now. Everybody in society wants a why now. Maybe it's because of Twitter and social media or
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, absolutely.
So trust. I don't know. It's been trust week. We've been doing different lifts to do so we got this actually off Coach and Coordinator podcast, talking about getting things off podcasts. Doing things like building trust in the weight room by, hey, you two guys have 60 lifts. Actually, I made it 61. So one of them had to choose. So they had to choose which one's going to do the extra one. You guys got 61 of these movements you got to do. Push-ups, sit-ups, air squats, whatever.
Between the two of you.
Go get those done. And like almost checklist.
Yeah.
And man, that's been really cool to see those guys do that. We'll do things like, we still have a thing called the Eagle Games, which is coming up next week. We'll do like silly games. It's our deload week for lifting. So we're going to kind of take the legs off, but we're going to still stay active and we're going to actually increase competition.
Yeah.
So competition
awesome.
being another, I don't know, competition. Tell me how important competition is. I mean, that's a loaded question. Tell me how you have seen competition in your football life actually translate to something off the field.
Everything. I mean, being a quarterback especially. I mean, at the quarterback position, only one guy's going to be on the field. So one of you is going to have to be the backup. And I've had to be, I played both roles. I had to be the guy that had to sit behind a guy all season long, not get a chance to play, and then he ended up getting hurt, and then there you go. Bam. All of a sudden, I stepped up and was able to play in a game, and then obviously go in the next season and be the starter. So I've had a chance to do a little bit of both, but it carries over into life in so many ways. Just being competitive, whether you're in a work environment, at home, I mean, anything you're doing, you just want to compete. And I know people always say compete against yourself, which is the most important. And I think playing quarterback, yeah, man, that entire mindset, hey, only one of us is going to be out there at a time. Yeah. But you got to love that guy if it's not you. You know what I mean? So you got to have that competition where it's a healthy competition, where you're not going to...
Co-petition.
Yeah. Co-petition.
No, I think that's super important. But the competitive side of things, man, I'm just super competitive. And probably, sometimes I've seen it where it's unhealthy.
Like video games or something, throwing their remote.
Little kid throwing their remote stuff. And that, but that's not competition. That's not competing. Because really, in that environment, good competition says, I want you to invite me back so I can play this game again.
True.
That's the truth. So if I lose, I need to learn why I lost, get better at the game. But also, I don't want to be, I don't get a chance to do that if I've thrown your remote through your wall.
Yeah.
And I
one player from now on, I'm done.
Yeah, one player. Good call, one player, like the loading screen, And then heart, so trust, competition, heart. How do you define heart? I mean, how do you define heart? I'm curious. I haven't asked you this. It's on the spot.
Heart, for me, would just be like the will to keep going, regardless of circumstance. I think it's just having that heart to even when going gets tough, powering through. And I think it's doing something that is more for than just yourself, in a sense. You got to have heart to do something for somebody else. That means you have a good heart, And so if you're working hard, finishing your lifts, if you got 41 or 61, and you're going to do 30, and the other guy's got to do 31 of them, well, then you got to make sure you do that extra one. So you have the heart to make sure you're taking care of your other guys, and you're finishing what needs to get done.
That's a good point. The idea that you're taking care of. I remember the book Grit.
Yeah.
She talks right in there about one of the components of grit is the having a higher power, is what she calls it, or something bigger than yourself. It's not necessarily like a faith, although it often translates to that for many, many people.
Yep.
But it could also be just like, I translate it and I teach my kids this, that it's something that's beyond you. It doesn't necessarily help you. And I have a mentor coach who always talks about, can you do something for someone who can never pay you back? I think that's a great source of heart, and that because this game is hard, school is really hard, teaching is really hard, working with youth is really hard, because our reward is not like a bonus check or something.
No.
We've won here, we've lost here. My paycheck has never changed.
You get a paycheck?
I get a paycheck.
Oh. What the hell?
They keep you down there. Like, Connor, don't come out of your home. Go back.
Go back to your home.
Go back to your home.
Back to your home and mind your paw. Oh, brother, we're out now. Plug. All right, there it is.
Yeah, no, that's a great film. That's like, that comes up every few episodes. We do talk a little.
I quote
brother.
that. It's good. It's good.
Great
Good
film. No, I just think when I think about heart, why do you keep going? Why do you get up when it hurts? You know, really, and the physical is so easy. It's so easy to overcome physical.
Yeah.
That's the easiest type of thing to overcome. You want to work hard? Okay, work hard. Go throw up. No, I guess it's COVID time. Don't go throw up.
Don't do that. Don't do that. No.
But go work really hard. Go run as hard as you can. You can do that. You know what really sucks is that when you fumble or when you make from a coaching side, let's do coaches.
Yeah.
When you make a bad play call or a bad decision and you get to hear about it in the news and you shoot, your wife tells you about it when you go home, you know, why'd you run that play? It wasn't working all game. You know, not that she ever has done that. But the idea is that heart to me is when you are in like this vulnerable and you're pain, there's pain and you have to overcome the pain. But that's the only way we grow.
Yeah.
There's no...
What do you get out of it if you stop?
Man, you don't get anything. And I think as the more I spend time in this game, the more I spend time in education and I study and world history, and media. Here's a great little deal, and we'll kind of wrap this segment up. I teach storytelling. Basically, it's media class. We make movies.
Yeah,
but there's a story arc, and a good story arc is something like. You introduce a character, and then you have to have an obstacle that character, and the character wants something, by the way. You introduce a character who wants something. I really want to be, let's talk football, I really want to be an NFL football player. Okay?
Yeah.
They really, really want it, and they go about their day working to be an NFL football player until one day an inciting incident happens. That's what it's the nerd movie thing. A call to adventure, if you will. Something happens where there is an obstacle, a challenge, something that hurts, that forces that character in a good story to sacrifice their want for what they need. And oftentimes what they find out what they need is the stuff we're talking about.
Yeah.
I would rather hang out with my friends right now than go lift. Okay?
Yep.
And sometimes you got to sacrifice that want for what you need.
That's a good point.
And I think there's so many tough situations out there. There's really sad things. This ultimately rolls way beyond football. This ultimately rolls into.
I was going to say, you talk about things that carry over into life.
Yeah.
There's a big one right there. Yeah.
It's why we coach football.
Yeah.
I think it's, we call it the response factor. You choose your response, all that. I think recognizing that if you pursue the day with great heart, when things get hard, I'm going back on that field and I'm going to focus on the right thing. I'm not going to throw my controller through the wall. I'm going to learn how to play this game, even though my emotions are just like an ocean in there feeling awful. No,
and you're right. And I think this is all, it's kind of funny in the sense that as a high school athlete, here I am sitting with you, having played for you, but coaching with you. So getting to hear a lot more of the insight, the background with why you came up with heart, trust, competition type stuff like that, and I totally see you, and I hear you, and I'm like, heck yeah, man! Having been a player, been through it all. I think the biggest challenge is, and I think anyone who's played college football or high school football and has now grown up a little bit is sitting there listening to it and going, yeah, I know what they're saying, I can relate. Bow. But the hard thing is, a current high school player right now. Are they looking at it the same way we are? Is it making the same difference? Is it hitting, connecting to them the same way? And I think that's, part of our job. The biggest challenge is getting all those awesome life things that you said carry over from football, but really making it clear and concise and having those guys understand it sooner the better.
Yeah. That's a fun episode.
It was a really fun episode. Aside from the spooky lights.
The spooky lights.
The 2 hour setup.
It was
but we got it done, man.
We did, and I think that next week we're going live next week, live. So you'll be able to see us on YouTube live.
Live.
And we'll be, we're learning this stuff as we go, and there's going to be some There's going to be some funky moments. We're going to have the sports guys on Monday. We're going to run an interview with them, local news personalities here in Anchorage, Alaska, who are both solid dudes.
Great dudes. They have a lot of great information regarding media, radio here in town, as well as a lot of the college UAA sports. They speak on that a bunch. So it was a really, really fun time getting a chance to talk with those guys and meet them.
So we are taking off. I appreciate you guys for joining us, sticking around with us. I am Timbo B. Davis, and I coach football.
And I'm Conor B. Feckley, and I coach football.
And that's convenient because this was a football podcast and a live one.
Yeah. And be ready for next week. If anyone's got any fun stuff, talk about your team.
Yeah.
And what you think, maybe what you want your team to draft, who are they going to get? You know, we'll start posting things online, start thinking about it, and interact with us.
We should do like a bingo.
Talk. Could do a bingo. We've been talking about doing bingo for a lot of things.
I know. We got the Brady bingo and
Oh brother, art thou bingo.
Oh brother, we got a lot of bingo. So no, I love it. All right, brother. Well, I will. We'll catch you next time. Thank you for joining us. We are the Back.
Peace.
Do-do-do-do.